Good. Welcome everybody to Off the Record with Fridge, episode 5 now. Technically 6 episodes deep, including 0. But real happy to ask one of the brothers to come on and join us here for the next hour or so. Maybe a bit longer or a bit shorter, depending on how the convo goes. But I'm Fridge. And for those listening on YouTube and Spotify, hopefully, my guest today is Ezra Iupeli. He's one of my boys, one of the brothers. Currently, wouldn't say work together, but both involved down at Zealand Rugby Club. And just a little bit of a background. Don't want to give you the same intro we gave you for the Patani pod back during lockdown. But just for those listening, he works at New Zealand Rugby Union. He's worked with the All Blacks, Māori All Blacks, New Zealand under-20s. Current Patani Premier Manager, was with Brownhill, the original Brownhill. When did that start?
When did we launch?
Yeah,
2008. 2008 we launched, back end of 2008, yeah.
Nice. We'll talk about those days, those awesome days soon. Just all-around great guy, sober drives for me and the boys a lot, mainly me, which is appreciated. Absolutely look up to him a lot. He's a role model for me and definitely a brother figure for a lot of us boys. And a guy like Ezra, if you ever get to chat with him, have a chat. Always a good sort. He'll look after you. And a lot of the boys down the rugby club as well just look up to Ez, and he looks after those boys. So, bro, absolute honour for having you on the pod. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, no worries, bro. Privilege, man. Privilege to be asked to come on, which was about a day ago, wasn't it, I think? And, I mean, Far, you've obviously love your work, bro. Love what you're doing in this space. And obviously, I'm sort of following some pretty high caliber people that you've been lucky to have on board, which is cool. So thanks for the shout out and reaching out, and just happy to be here, bro. So thank you.
Awesome. And it's funny, you kind of mentioned the caliber of other people, but like you'll be right up there with them, bro. With kind of when you I mean, the main point of a pod for me, or this style pod, is I wanted to speak to people who had journeys and stories to share, experiences to share, bro. And you got it all, bro. So I've really been looking forward to this, and bro, writing a question sheet for you today. I was like, it's weird because we talk almost every day, whether it's by messenger or down at the rugby club, but it's mostly around footy. We don't get a proper catch up sometimes, unless we're just sitting at the club and you're just watching me drink, and then I just start talking about random stuff or having a complaint. Yeah. But bro, how is everything? Like, I know you've had a bit of a thing this year, and so I want to see how you were. Like, are you back at work or are you working remotely?
Yeah, no, I'm back at work. So I guess a bit of background as to what 2020 has been like for me. Obviously, back end of 2019 was another great year. Looking forward to 2020. Brand new decade, and had some, big plans and things that I was keen to achieve this year. And it all started, pretty crazy, man, as you know. And for those who don't know, I had a wee bit of a mishap at the beginning of the year. I had an infection in my foot, which started out as a blister. Unfortunately, it just refused to go away. And then picked up I think it's osteomyelitis, I think it's called, is the infection of the bone. So the infection through the foot into the bone, and ended up having emergency surgery at the end of. So basically, I noticed the infection that morning, and by that evening, 12 hours later, I was in emergency surgery, and it could have gone either way. I'd either be here with you on this podcast, or I'd be somewhere else. But as it turned out, I had another surgery the following day, and then another one 3 days later. By that third surgery, the infection had spread up the leg, lower limb. So I had a lower limb amputation on my right leg, and yeah, and then obviously was dealing with that. Obviously, COVID-19 hit. In terms of work that you spoke about earlier, my role was disestablished at work. So yeah, so anything that could have gone wrong this year definitely went wrong. And yeah, but I guess an update now is I was able to reapply for, I guess, effectively the same role. And so I'm back on board at NZR, or New Zealand Rugby, where I've been there for 12 years.
That's mad, eh? Just that the league thing alone is insane, bro. And even thinking back, bro, so what was it, around March-ish?
February 2nd was when I had the first amputation.
Yeah.
4 days later, on the 6th, was the third of the three amputations. So Feb 6th was when I woke up and realised, you've lost a part of your body, which was pretty crazy. And yeah.
Bro, from then to now, it's crazy because obviously you're affected by it, still are, but you're recovering. But like when we're down the rugby club, like either doing the pod or just on a Saturday night, just in there drinking, it just seems normal again, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah, it's a mad challenge, bro. Like, but like, people won't realize, bro, but I think you got your leg, and then you were driving like a day. Was it 24 hours, 48 hours later?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Such a rushed recovery, this man.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I guess it's just me, really. I I've always sort of, I guess in terms of a work ethic, I've always sort of prided myself on that, and worked hard, and so when this came about, I realised that, it was obviously I was gonna have my limitations and restrictions, from now on going forward. But the lockdown, I guess, gave me an opportunity to, I guess, really look at what where I was at, what I wanted to do, and understood that, well, it shouldn't change anything. Sometimes, bad things find you.
Yeah.
And I understood that, well, I need to go out and find good things, and I've been really blessed to be where I was right up until the accident. And then realised, look, mate, I'm once I'm on my leg again, and like I said to you earlier, I was walking before, I was walking in my head before I got the leg, so I was just ready to tick boxes again and just do what I could do, understanding obviously that, it was a new normal, but I was ready to go. And, it's either I just stay in bed and just, sulk about what I don't have, what I can't do, or get up and think, I'm back on my feet now. Let's go.
And like, not many people have that mentality, bro. Like, that's the thing. And kind of through your recovery, just speaking to people that kind of knew you, or even the rugby boys, they're like, bro, it's Ezra. He's about to kill this recovery, man. Like, he'll be back before you know it. And you're like, yeah, true that. And I remember coming to see you, albeit a bit early, probably. I think you were fresh out, maybe just coming to a ward. Managed to talk to you for a bit. You didn't look the greatest. You're still recovering and stuff. And then I think maybe on my way out, I was like, oh, man, might have to find me a taxi driver this season, bro. And you're like, nah, we'll be back before you know it. And I was like, just leaving. And I was like, man, no, there's no way that he's going to be driving this year, bro. And you've already driven me 3 times, driven me home, taking the boys home, bro. Just on the rugby club and stuff, I know that that first kind of game day was big on your list of things to get to, and something that you really wanted to do. So a bit emotional coming back to that, and like I know it was for some of the players as well. But because it's a routine, you come in, like you said on the chat last night. People just drop their bags, say hi, take a lolly or two, and then go for a walk or something like that. So it was kind of a cool routine for the players to see you back there, bro. Was that a pretty cool time to get the first couple of game days there?
Yeah, bro. I mean, gosh, I could, talk your ears off, about, you know, how I feel about Petone Rugby. You know, I bleed blue. It's my junior rugby club. Really grateful for what they've done for me, and especially in you know, my time of need, I guess. You know, earlier this year they were amazing. Everyone at the club, you know, from players to management to volunteers to life members to, you know, Andy Leslie walked in randomly one morning and woke me up, and it was about the second day I'd come out of ICU, and he literally walked in and he said, "Yes, look, I know that I probably shouldn't be here, and I know that I could have given you a warning and a heads up, but I just wanted to let you know, I want to leave you my number in case you haven't got it handy, but give me a call if you need anything. If anyone needs to be driven anywhere, if you need anything picked up, if you need anything at all, just let me know." Those types of things just remind me just how special and how blessed I am to be part of the amazing club that is Petone Rugby. So, yeah, that first game day, you know, and we spoke about it. I love a game day. I love just being able to contribute, do what I can, because I've got a role to play, you know. And in terms of the Petone Rugby wheel that I've fortunately been part of the Premier team for a few years now, I just see myself as a cog in that wheel, along with the players and the doc, the medic, you know, the medical staff, and our, you know, Steve and our coaches, and I've got my part to play. So, yeah, getting back into that changing room, setting that up, and just being there on that first day, yeah, it was. I did get a wee bit teary, but mate, you know, I was just glad to get that out of the way and just think, you know, God, we're good to go. And once I was out of the way, it was, yeah, just back into full swing. So loving it.
And there's nothing like a game day, eh? Like whatever kind of grade you're playing is that feeling you get up, you know, you might have your breakfast or whatever, get your kit together, start heading down, and then that kind of game feeling starts hitting you. See all the boys and stuff. Like with work, because I know prior to lockdown, bro, you're always busy, man. You always had things going on. You're always travelling when you had tournaments and things like that. Is work being back to kind of being busyish for you guys with Super Rugby, I would say, or like with not many rep team kind of things going on? Is it a bit less busy now? Like, what's the go at work at the moment?
Yeah, things are slowly starting to pick up again. I mean, obviously, you know, our organisation, like many others, had been hit by obviously COVID, and we had a number of COVID casualties. We had to farewell a whole load of staff, which for us that are remaining are still, you know, still kind of struggling with that, because it's never going to be the same. So in terms of rugby, I mean, you know, we understand, like a lot of people in this country understand, you know, the part that rugby plays in our psyche and in our country. It's a religion, you know, here in New Zealand. So in terms of our office, we've got a job to try and get that back up and running as soon as we can. So things are starting to pop up in terms of me for my own role. Just within the last few weeks of things have started to pop up on my plate. So so really starting to enjoy getting through that, which has been great.
I kind of like living kind of my life through your work life, because you have mad stories and experiences there, bro. And there's been a few times where we've kind of sat down and everyone just sits and listens. You're like, man, that's cool. But one of my favourite, bro, was how you initially got your job at the Union. I know there's a few people out there that know about the job, but I reckon it's one of the best stories out there. And like, it was so outside the box on how they went about it, just trying to source the right person for this job. But bro, are you able to share kind of roughly how you landed your job with the New Zealand Rugby Union?
Yeah, sure thing. So prior to being at New Zealand Rugby, I worked at the Intercontinental Hotel in Wellington. When I started there, it was a Park Royal Wellington. And then I was at the Intercontinental up until the end of 2007. We just, long story short, a couple of staff from New Zealand Rugby, I think they basically had a look at how you know, they sort of were their front office was operating. They had a couple of receptionists on front office, which I think they culled down to one, and they wanted to change the look and feel of their front office. So they basically created a role for a concierge. So a concierge is a role which is more familiar or aligned to hospitality, hotels. So I was in that concierge role at the Intercontinental, and there's a few other hotels in Wellington that had concierges who were, who all had that role of concierge. And most hotels would just have receptionists. But New Zealand Rugby created that role. They basically had an idea of who they were looking for in order to fill that role.
Yeah.
And then, their HR team at the time of two masqueraded as a couple and basically did a walk around hotels in Wellington. Spent the whole day doing a walk around. They actually visited all the hotels twice. So in the morning, I think they popped around and spent a bit of time at the hotels and had a coffee in the lobby and just sort of basically watched concierges in action in terms of how they interacted with guests and carry themselves and then in the afternoon went back around the same loop of hotels, and this time they decided to approach the concierge and then just sort of fire some questions off and so forth. And all I remember from that interaction was they were I think they were getting married and they were going to honeymoon in Wellington, I think, and they were just keen to find out about what there is to see, what there is to do, the best restaurants, and I think my response was, again, it was just unbeknown to me. I just thought it was just just treated them as any other guest, really. And then basically I said, look, if you're about town today, do you want to pop back in about 3/4 of an hour? It'll give me a chance to whip up an itinerary, give you an idea of what I think, you can spend your weekend doing here and so forth. And they didn't come back, but I got a phone call, the following week. They seemed to sort of find out enough, and I got this call, and it was basically Ezra, New Zealand Rugby have created a role for concierge. We would strongly recommend that you apply for the role.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, mate, is this a cold call? No, is this a radio station? Yeah, but no. I thought, you know what? No, I'll find out a bit more. So I just said, look, can I pop in sometime next week after my shift and at the hotel and find out a little bit more about it. Got a bit of a tour of the office and then I thought, man, this is me. So the only person I talked about at the time was my mum. Came home and sat down with her and she just she said to me, oh yes, the hotel have been fantastic to you. They look after you. They, in terms of your hours, they've been able to, you requested the hours that you want to work. But you don't really do that in hospital. You just shift work. You get what you're given. But she said, but in saying that, New Zealand Rugby, the opportunity to work with the ABs again, because you do a bit of work with them when you're in the hotel. But this is your dream job, and I didn't have to think twice, and that was that. 4 weeks, hotel got their notice, and I was at New Zealand Rugby the following month.
Gee, they must have been gutted to lose you, but in saying that, like, you can't imagine your life without those experiences. Like, if you'd stayed at the hotel, like, all these things you would have missed out on, that would be crazy, eh?
Yeah, it's funny. Look, my journey in life has kind of been, it hasn't been sort of just run of the mill. It's it's gone from one extreme to the other. Even getting into hotels, that was really because I was studying graphic design. I had a rugby injury which I severed my finger on my right hand, my ring finger, almost ripped it off, and the recovery and rehab for that just caused massive delays in terms of my study. So at the end of 4 years, I was still, a couple of papers short, and by then I'd kind of lost the urge to study, and I wanted to get into hospital. So I just walked into the Park Royal at the time and thought, I've got no experience in hospital, but I've always had a fascination for how front office works in hotels. Did 7 years at the hotel, and then the opportunity at New Zealand Rugby popped up. So I owe a lot to the Intercontinental for where I am now. But it's one of those things sometimes you never know, and things just sneak up on you, and you just when opportunity comes, you've just got to grab it.
And so you've done a lot of cool things through your current job at the Rugby Union. What's kind of the highlights that stick out? Is it just mainly, well, it can't be mainly World Cup 2011. That would be up there, but there'll be heaps of other things that you've done through the union as well.
Yeah, I guess when you can say, and there's that saying that if it's gone now, but basically, if your job is chore like, then, but for me, it just doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
I'm living the dream, seriously. So, in terms of, every day, I can say every day, but if I was to pick, a few and highlight those, definitely the 2011 Rugby World Cup, where I spent 8 weeks with the team. Arrived a couple of days before the players came in, and they came from All Blacks to the Nation, where 3 or 4, I think, went to some of the smaller towns to really kind of build up the anticipation and the excitement around World Cup. So players are coming from all these, small, rural, quite remote towns in New Zealand. And so, and then, 8 weeks later, we won the World Cup, and we're on a 3-day bender, and it was, pretty crazy. But that, I was fortunate to work that World Cup. I did a World Cup with the under 20s when New Zealand hosted the Junior Rugby World Cup in 2014. So I was in Auckland for 3.5 weeks to a month. The Lions were here in 17, so that was awesome as well. Work with the Māoris, and just working with national teams, really, just, and the Māoris and Black Ferns and under 20s. And I guess at New Zealand Rugby, we unify and inspire. So that's something that's a tagline, obviously that's part of us, but also that's something that, for me personally, I try and live by that as well, day to day. So just blessed to be in that role, because I know that so many other people would love to be there. So that's why I appreciate it every day, and just continue to try and, unite and inspire in whatever I do.
Yeah. And a bit of insights into kind of the All Black machine and stuff. I think I might have spoken logistics with you before, and you mentioned a couple of things like how hard is it to move these guys in their gear around? Like in New Zealand, it must be a little bit easier, but I heard maybe before that they might have maybe a container in Europe or England or something like that, where they keep some stuff there. Is that a pretty difficult kind of thing to organise and stuff?
Yeah. I guess, for me, with my role with the ABs, I'm not really sort of involved in logistics. That logistics sort of part is what I do in my own day-to-day role. But when I work with the ABs, it's more sort of in a liaison officer capacity. So logistics is basically all covered by the All Black staff already. So they've got someone who looks after, basically a dedicated logistics manager. So I've been lucky to work with the likes of Errol Collins and the late Rocky Carr, and also James Iverson, who's in the role now. So, but yeah, no, you're right. I mean, to give you an idea, that 2011 World Cup, basically the guys would play normally in the evening, so like on a Saturday night. So basically, they'd after the game would come back to the hotel. They'd have a bit of a blowout feed, which is where fried chicken and chips and so forth come out, because they work so hard during the week in terms of really staying on top of their nutrition and that. So after the game, they basically just it's a good chance for them to get some of that soul food down them. But it's when myself and our logistics manager and a few other guys would basically go to work, and that's basically getting the players to bring their own gear down, getting all the team gear, which is analysis gear, medical gear, S&C gear. Anywhere between 240 to 300 pieces would be shifting that night. So by midnight that night, after the game's finished, there'd be a DHL truck backing into the forecourt of wherever hotel will be in. We'll be loading 300 pieces of luggage. The following morning on the red-eye flight, there'll be about 4 or 5 of us flying to the next venue. And then basically we'll be there to meet the truck, which is driven overnight, to arrive. We unload that 300 pieces. We set up the team room, the medical room, get the gear bags up to the players' room, and they literally fly in later on off the bus, and they'll be able to go to their rooms, and everything's
not
for another week.
There's been no change for them, mate. They've just
wow,
that's crazy. And What you mentioned the old soul food after the games and stuff, and I know I think I've seen some clips on YouTube or stuff of the team nutritionist or something like that that looks after their food and kind of intake and stuff. Would she, if it's still her, approach say a hotel and say this is the list of what we need of the food that we're going to be doing? Would they cook it, or would she help oversee that with that stuff?
Yeah, I think it's a wee bit different with there's some and you know, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure the England rugby team have had at times when they travel will take their own chef or two or three.
Yeah.
The All Blacks, they don't have their own chef, but they do have a nutritionist. So you'd see her on the ads that are going on at the moment. Kat Barry, she basically looks after everything. In terms of meals, so she'd be in contact with all the hotels, would meet the chefs. I think she'd probably do a recce, so she'd travel around, sit down with the chef, and obviously look at what the guys will be taking in terms of all their meals throughout the day, but everything right down to their skin folds and shakes and stuff like that, and they'd have one-to-ones. She sit down with every player. It's obviously that in terms of that meal plan is not the same for every player. It's going to be dedicated and exclusive to that player. So she plays a massive role in making sure that they're looking after themselves. And
I just feel like everyone that kind of works for that team or for you guys is kind of the best at what they do in that field. It's particular. This is your lane. It's just like a rugby team. This is what you do. This is what you need to do for us to succeed. So you go ahead and do it, and then that person will take care of theirs and all that. What's kind of the most unusual thing that you've needed to kind of acquire or organise for the team or for the union? Or I know once you kind of said that you had to try to find some basketball time for that group. Is there anything that kind of the ABs have needed that you've needed to, or heard that they needed at all?
Not so much with the ABs. I mean that story that I shared earlier. Back in 2011, the boys had they have a generally Wednesdays their dedicated day off, and it was interesting because that week of the Canadian match, which is also the week unfortunately that DC was ruled out of the World Cup later in the week, but Wednesday was the day off. And I had Kevy Mialamu and Pete Gallagher, the team physio, Tammy Whitelock, John Afua. They were keen to shoot some hoops. And so over the road from the Intercontinental on Queen's Wharf, the TSB Arena had been booked out, I think, wasn't available. And then a few other gyms around the place that we could think of weren't available. So the only one I could think of was the ASB, which is out in Kilburnie, and it had just been built at that time, but wasn't open.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they had half of it was still being worked on, but one half was kind of ready. But they had a couple of courts, which Kenny McFadden, his hoops club, or I'm not sure what it's called, they were already operating out of it. They were, I think, the only group that were able to use the facility. I just gave them basically a call and just said, look, I was wondering if I could potentially book a court out to come and shoot some hoops for a couple of hours. And the guy I spoke to, I think it was a girl first, and she said, oh, absolutely no way, we're not open to the public. I said, could I speak to someone that you report to or a manager? And she passed me on to this lovely guy named Mornay, South African guy, and I asked him the same question. He said, oh, look, I'm really sorry, mate, we're not open to the public, and we're actually still a few months away, I think. And then I said, oh look, and then I pulled the AB card out. I thought, I'm sure this will work, and I thought my charm would work. It didn't, but I pulled the AB card out, and mate, before I could even finish my sentence, he said, "Where are you guys? What are you up to? Do you need a floor? What else do you need? Do you need basketballs as well? You're bringing your own or whatever." So he couldn't bend over further backwards to help us out, and within 3/4 of an hour, I pulled up in a 12-seater van with about 6 or 7 players, and they were basically allowed to use one half of one court, and on the other court next door over, it just so happened that Stephen Adams was there shooting the ball around with a few other young boys, and and they kept looking over, and and then for about the last 20 minutes, they ended up having a sort of a 5-on-5. Mate, it was awesome. Yeah, so those are the interesting sort of random, requests you have to deal with off the cuff. Normally, everything's pretty regimented, everything's in place, and you don't really have to be doing any last minute things. But other fun things are they have a club night on the Tuesday night, and so whatever centre they're in, the rugby club, they'll basically be able to get to a rugby club in that centre. Normally, one of the players in the squad, and so sometimes I might get the task of getting out and picking up some snacks, some muffins and chips and fizzies and stuff like that for the boys, because they've got that Wednesday off. So obviously with a pretty intense week of training and everything, Tuesday night's a chance for them to let their hair down, get into a club room and just wear their club jerseys and have a fizzy and some lollies and chips and so forth. So those are the kind of really cool little things where the guys can kind of strip it back and just enjoy each other's company without that kind of demand that's normally on them 24/7.
And like, it must be nice being privy to that kind of, seeing those kind of things, being a part of it, knowing that the general public, for the most part, don't kind of see a lot of the things that they do and kind of get up to. But don't you think it's funny though, bro? Like, because you're madly passionate about rugby, Petone rugby as well, and just New Zealand rugby in general, that you now work for the New Zealand Rugby Union, and you're probably the longest serving manager with the Petone Prems at the moment, bro. Don't you just think it's funny how those cards have fallen?
I got to admit, I do sort of sometimes have to sit down and like I said earlier, just strip things back and really appreciate some of the blessings that I've received. In terms of rugby, I mean, I was like any other kid, in New Zealand. Not only young boys back in the day, but now young girls can play footy and aspire to be an All Black or a Black Fern, a Māori All Black. Work your way through your schools and Heartland and under 20s and that, and it's a vocation now. It's a career. Back in the day, I was like any other kid. I played my junior footy at Petone and aspired to play for the Lions and play for the ABs and that. And then like the 95% of us that aren't able to do so, we kind of understand at some point that it's probably not going to happen. So for me, the second best thing was to if I can't be an All Black, wouldn't it be awesome to work with the All Blacks? And I got that opportunity while I was at the Intercontinental to come out of my concierge role for a week and be that kind of contact, or that link between the ABs and the hotel. A lot of hotels around the world where sports teams stay, the key to really make that an experience for those sports teams is for them to be able to get anything at the drop of a hat. Yeah. And that's what we wanted to do at the Intercontinental in Wellington. We did everything we could to ensure that our guests had the best service. Because at the end of the day, every hotel's the same. It's a room, there's a bed, there's a shower, there's a restaurant. You get a wake-up call. The point of difference is the service, and that's what made it different at the Intercontinental. And so having the opportunity to work with the ABs whenever they stayed with us for a number of years, and now work for New Zealand Rugby and work in that, work in the game, I'm very, very fortunate and count my blessings every day, because I know there'll be so many other people that would love to be doing what I'm doing.
And was it the same kind of work ethic when it came to like not only sports teams that come through the Intercontinental, but you had like musos, and I guess other teams as well, like Nora Jones? I remember hearing, I think it might have been a Brett Lee story ages ago, possibly. You met Brett Lee. Kind of, is that what you aim to be the same for those guests that come through? Like if they need anything, just be able to kind of get it just like that and make sure their stay was as comfortable as possible as well? Yeah,
I mean, look, every guest is the same, but obviously, when you get someone of note, of stature, like a Brett Lee. I mean, it's funny. I forgot that I even shared that story about Brett Lee with you, but Brett, obviously, as you know, we're both pretty keen cricketers, and Brett Lee at the time was coming through with the Aussie team, and I was working. I was on a night shift, and I was basically just up and moving between. I think I dropped an envelope off to a guest at some floor. I was coming down and I got off on the mezzanine floor and just did a sweep to make sure everything's all good. Nothing sinister going on or anyone looking out of place. But I heard this piano being played in the corner, which wasn't in the function room, but just outside the function room. So someone was just playing on it, and I sort of thought, man, whoever's on that piano knows their way around a piano. And I thought, man, and I sort of popped my head around the corner. It was Brett Lee. He saw me and he stopped playing and closed it. And I said, no, Brett, you carry on playing. I'm just doing a sweep, and I thought it might have been someone random from the public had snuck up, but no, you keep going. And then from there, it's funny because he was in for the rest of the week. We had a bit of a yarn, and I asked him about the piano, and he said he actually didn't read music. His brother, it was either Shane or Phil, I think his brother, other name's Phil, one of his brothers, who was trained. Brett basically learned to play the piano by ear from his brother, practicing every day.
That's awesome.
So those are really awesome things. But I mean, every guest is the same, but obviously there's obviously we have a role in understanding that we can't be fangirling around these guests, and we just have to stay and remain professional, but just continue to give that service. And so I mean, some memories from the Intercon I'll never forget, and I'm always pretty happy to share a story or two if people want to hear or listen.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'd probably be the most unprofessional concierge in a hotel. I'd like asking for photos and stuff. Just a little bit back to footy. You're involved with age grade stuff, notably NZ under 20s and stuff. The future of our game looking pretty decent with these players coming through. You reckon we got a good crop?
Well, it's one thing that we'll never struggle with in terms of the amount of talent that's coming through. Our kids, we're just blessed with skills that are actually being taught and coached everywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, in the UK and in Europe, that they're trying to teach kids to offload around the back and through the legs, and even front rowers. The tip, those micro skills that kids in New Zealand and in the islands are just born with.
They just do, yeah.
They just do. Like it's.
I reckon you don't train it until you kind of get into the professional things, how to kind of control it or make better decisions around when to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, in terms of the crop of kids coming through, we'll never struggle with that. But obviously, the world is slowly, they have caught up over the last few years. So that's where we have to, again, work harder to try and stay ahead, because and we look overseas and all these other countries are getting better and better and catching up to us, and that's in lieu of our coaches, our New Zealand coaches who are over there, our New Zealand players who are in Japan and in Europe and in the UK, and that are I guess helping make players from that part of the world better. It's a kind of a catch-22 almost type thing, but we'll just continue to find ways to make sure that we stay ahead of the pack.
And bro, it's a viable career path now. Like you mentioned, coaches there going overseas. Like it doesn't have to be an international level. Like you can go coach club anywhere in the world, and maybe not strike it rich, but do enough to have a lifestyle, or even as a player, manager, a physio. Like you can do it all through rugby if the opportunities are out there, which was pretty cool. Probably got last couple of rugby questions. Don't want to get in trouble with Hack. This turning into a rugby pod or anything. Is shout out to Haxel. But funniest All Black that you've been around?
Oh, funniest All Black. Israel Dag's up there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Ezra Dag's up there. He's pretty cool, man. He's just so relaxed, just himself. That's what I've always loved about him, and always just seemed to have time for not only his teammates but the public and that. I mean, I guess can't go without mentioning Sonny Bull as well. That guy with the public is just unreal. you know, and you know, like I spoke earlier about everything's so meticulous, and in terms of regiments, in terms of times where the team needs to be. So it's by the minute almost, you know. And I remember one occasion, I think we were in Christchurch, and Sonny Bill held the whole bus up by, you know, I mean, in the end it was probably 6 or 7 minutes, but that's a lifetime in All Black world, you know. They need to be where they need to be. And Sonny, you know, held up the bus because, you know, there were still 40, 50, 60 other kids that he had to either shake a hand with or give a hug or sign an autograph for or take a photo with, you know.
That's cool.
And unfortunately, that's probably the sides of some of the players that the public, or a lot of the public don't see, and normally aren't really given credit for, because the players, some of them, they understand where they've come from, and the humble beginnings that they experienced as well growing up. And, you know, in 20 years, 20 years previous to that, they were in the shoes of a lot of those kids that just wanted to be acknowledged and recognised and noticed by the heroes.
And I think it's starting to happen a little more often, like back offices are starting to build into Super Rugby, where the Super Rugby players will stay behind, or the kids will come down onto the field and they'll go through kind of, and you hear of stories of people staying to the very last kid and stuff like that. Like, they know that it's super important now, and kind of it's the fan base that drive the game a lot of the time. So that's real cool to see. Bro, is there a bit of a maybe a pest or a prankster in the All Blacks at all? There must be a couple of jokesters out there.
Oh, yeah, there's a few that have their moments, but generally, all in all, most of them keep their noses pretty clean, and you know, don't want to be caught out. A few guys over the years have been really interesting to deal with. I mean, Byron Keller is probably one guy that I'd want to mention. He was infamous for enjoying a night out when he could, and I'm sure Byron won't mention or won't mind me mentioning that if he tunes into this at some stage. Ali Williams probably another one's a wee bit of a pest. Likes to. I think there was a trip home from the UK one year where he shaved the eyebrows of quite a well-known news presenter who couldn't present the news for a few weeks till the eyebrows grew back.
Wow.
That's all I'll say. I'll leave that at that. But a few guys like to test the waters from time to time in and amongst the group, but also when they can with whoever's within the vicinity.
I think I got Powell coming on in the next three or so weeks. He must have been up there. Has been pretty cheeky in camp. Yeah.
Powell's typical Powell, really. I didn't think I need to name him because everyone knows he's a pest anyway. No, Powell's good. One memory from the 11 World Cup was Powell was in amongst the group of the guys who went Marae styles. Obviously, as you know, we generally have the guys team up in terms of their rooms. So they'll have a roomie for the week. But I think definitely on the shore, leading up to the quarterfinal with Argentina. He was probably a group of 7 or 8 that were just Marae styles in one of the rooms. That there were a lot larger rooms, and mattresses got pulled in from different rooms, and the boys crashed together on the floor. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. What about? Did you ever see who could eat the most out of the boys? Like, obviously, maybe some of the big boys weren't allowed to, maybe, or mate, someone like Richie must just pack it in, like he needs all that food, eh?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. The guys are pretty disciplined, as you know. There were a few that would go up for a second serving or second helping, hopefully, and not get caught. I know Neza, I know Mia, I think was eating with chopsticks at one stage, probably to manage the load.
Yeah.
But no, most of them were pretty well disciplined, and but come the post-match feed, which I'm sure Powell and the like will be able to elaborate more on how that was. That once the game was over, and they had that feed where they could just absolutely let loose and go to town. That was always pretty exciting for the boys. A lot of fried stuff would find its way onto the table to go into.
But I really appreciate all that insight into kind of your work in rugby and the ABs and stuff. Just on yourself, bro, like alcohol, you've never touched a drop, never, which is kind of handy for guys like me and other guys that do like a cheeky Powerade or two. Just never been keen.
Yeah, never been keen, bro. I mean, aside from half a mouthful of wine cooler when I was 12, I think. That's it, really. For me, I guess part of my livelihood growing up, as you know, my father's a church minister, and I'm not going to say that as a son of a church minister, I wasn't rebellious, because most of the ministers' kids are rebellious, are the most rebellious ones. I don't know. It was, for me, I was never really interested in it. And in terms of temptations, through college, even the college I went to, some of my teammates, the rugby team out at Scott's, we would go back to their homes after a game. The parents were overseas for a couple of months on a cruise or for business or whatever, and these kids at 16, 17 would basically just have full control of the house and just and just have a home bar that they could just
crazy,
So I'm not going to say that the temptation wasn't there, but also I guess my favourite uncle I lost when I was 16, and he died. His death was alcohol related, so that was probably the final straw for me, for that sort of period through sort of 14, 15, 16, where would I be, would I dabble in alcohol or not? But his death really, I guess, for me was almost like, and I made that promise to him. I said, you know what, I'm gutted that that your life's been cut short because of this, and I guess in honour of you, I'm not going to partake in it. But bro, I won't lie. That kind of couple of years back into college, going into club footy again, going back to Petone, being around my mates, when you go to town and so forth, and parties and that, your teenage years, and as a young adult, I was I was ridiculed because I didn't partake in it. All the words under the sun, and excuse my language, you're a soft cock, you're just have a drink,
and that's the sad part of it, like
it is, and people didn't respect my my well, not wishes, but respect my decision or choice not to partake in it, and we used to love going to town and having a dance and catching up with everyone. For me, that was an opportunity to to see a certain dynamic or a demographic or a group of friends of mine that I wouldn't be able to see during the week or whatever. So out in town, that was just where you could catch up with certain friends, and I didn't feel the need that I needed to be drinking or inebriated to enjoy that experience.
Yeah, and that's where I'm not fully worried, but I have some concern for the nephews, Jules and Josiah. Like, I know that they won't drink if they don't want to drink. Pretty sure they're not allowed to drink anyway, so they won't. But I don't want them to have that kind of sense that they're missing out, or that it's the old peer pressure to kind of buzz. Because I reckon people that don't drink, they're cooler than the people that are. And I guess one point on that is just like, bro, we've been out heaps. We used to go town a lot. The boys used to go town a lot, and me being loaded up on the booze, and like I'd be having a mad time. Then I'll look over at you on the dance floor as well. You're just having just as mad a time as I am. So it's definitely not a requirement for a bit of fun. Cheeky Bangalore dance floor with the old peanuts.
Right. And it's funny, Bill, because like I said earlier, there are times when it'd be a real downer. Some parties I'd just leave. the club, you know, it was part of the reason why I stopped playing on top of the injury, was because that drinking culture, that binge drinking culture, which unfortunately you just had to be part of, or you just, you know, what was the point of being there? So, you know, sometimes I'd be almost pushed to the limit where, you know, people would challenge me for why I didn't drink. And sometimes I'd just lash out and go, well, if you want to impress me, you try
not drinking. Yeah, exactly.
See how long you go without a drink, and then it'll just register and think, okay, I get where you're coming from, and I apologize for that. But yeah, look, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, that's why I got no horse in the race. I can't go, oh, bro, drink. Like, I could never do it myself, so all good. But yeah, because like back when Bagel was around, he'd done a similar thing. He went dry, and then had a few towards the end, which is really funny. But yeah, just you can. Yeah, anyone that's listening, you can still have mad time, sober or not. If you're around me, you're gonna have a mad time anyway. So get down to the club, mate. I got you.
Yeah, and if you don't want to drink, and you know you're worried about that peer pressure, then just let me know. You know, I'll help you stay off it, and we'll just go and have a drink.
Yeah. Bros, one thing I wanted to ask you, and I spoke to Pumba and Seppi about it. Episode 0 was kind of the way we come together, and Pumba explained it nicely. He's like, these things happen, and then all of a sudden he saw all these different circles start coming in to kind of merge all together in one big group of boys. For me personally, I had my group of mates, and I was quite comfortable with that group of mates, and close mates. Always knew the other boys and stuff, but and I always give credit to Fuki for bringing me together, or bringing me back to all the boys and stuff, because through his tragic loss, I know it's not a great lesson, but like I sparked up all these close relationships and like brotherhoods, bro, like true ones. Do you kind of feel like through the losses of our boys, and now there's a few of them now, like everyone's come tighter. I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I spoke to these guys about, is we all talk on different levels now because of it. I think because of it. Well, I do anyway. When we get together and we share things and stuff, I think it's through our lessons that we've learned. You know, never know who's up next and things like that. Do you kind of feel like through all that loss, it's kind of changed everybody's relationships with each other and brought the boys together, or maybe not even the boys, but a lot of your FX youth as well in that crew?
Yeah, I think we were all, you know, pretty tight. You know, before, you know, we were struck with these tragedies. And yeah, it was yeah, we had a really special connection at church, you know, through Epaka. Everyone always looking out for everyone. But again, you know, losing, you know, all the brothers over that time, you know, yeah, I guess it really just reminded us just how fickle life can be, you know, and you just need to, you know, and look, you know, we have our own cliques and silos, you know, if I use the youth group as an example. And, you know, and look, everyone has their moments where, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you just feel that you need to prove a point. You need to all of a sudden start singing your own praises, and you know, you start, you know, pumping up your own tires, and, you know, oh, I did this, and yeah, I'm off to do this, and, you know, and you know, and this, yeah, this person apparently thinks that I'm, you know, but the bee's knees. But I think you understand that, you know, when you know, when those tragic times hit, I think you understand that, you know, we just, you know, look, there's, you know, at the end of the day, we're all really the same. You know, we're none better than anyone else. We've all got our own battles that we're fighting, all got our own challenges and stuff. There's no point, you know, trying to be someone that you're not, you know, and you know, and then yeah, I guess, you know, for me, I mean, the 4 boys that all passed on, you know, I was close to all of them, and one of them was, you know, my best mate that passed away, and so what I've learned from that is, look, you just need to count your blessings every day because, you just don't know. And also understand that, look, as much as you can say whatever you want to try and think that you're better, you're not, and you just, and so for me, what inspires me and motivates me to, to keep being better every day is remembering, that, for my brothers still aren't around to enjoy some of the things that I'm able to do so now. I guess everyone sort of impacted in different ways. For some, it's brought us so much closer. For others, we've seen a lot of our group, move offshore, and that was an opportunity for them to, to think, look, gosh, if, I need to spread my wings, I've got other things that boxes I want to tick, and, that losing my brother, has reminded me that, mate, I need to get out, see the world, and that's why I'm so proud of a lot of the boys that are in Australia. The boys and girls are over there doing their thing. I sit back and think, I'm just so fortunate to, been part of their journey, and they've been part of mine.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Still miss them though, eh? Like, it's crazy, old folks, and it always feels like it's just happened, You might every now and then you might just forget about it, but something will happen, or they'll flick into your memory, and you're like, damn, that's right, crazy. But I feel like kind of brought us boys together, and or closer anyway, which I love and I'm thankful for. But bro, just heading into a bit of the music background now. Now, me and you are pretty similar in our music tastes, and how far back we go, and all sorts, the plethora of genres that we're into. But I've got to ask, bro, if you're able to give me because you love a slow jam, I love a slow jam. I can listen to slow jams all day. It doesn't matter. It could be in a club. Slow jams, techno music to me. It'll get me up. Top 3 slow jams, bro.
Loves a slow jam. Look, we were all conceived to slow jams, so that's why it's it resonates. Bro, 3 slow jams. I won't use Whoop Appeal because I know Whoop Appeal from Babyface is a favourite of both of ours.
Yeah.
So I won't count that because that is, that's just gold. I'm going to say Invisible Man by 98 Degrees.
Oh, that is a great choice.
I was an Invisible Man for a long time. Growing up around some of my best mates, I was the Invisible Man, the wingman, the funny friend. So that song resonated with me 100%. Officially Missing You by Tamia.
Oh yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah. And One Last Cry by Brian McKnight.
Oh mate, those are 3 solid choices. Like, you can debate those all the way to the bank there.
Yeah,
solid choices. Just trying to think. Oh, I like Boys to Men, Just Hold On. Yeah. I feel like it's not a really well known one.
Yeah,
it's kind of just sits there, everyone sleeps on it, but it's an absolute banger.
It's funny you mention that because that song reminds me of Wati, because we played that during one of his video tributes, and that song actually came out around that time, probably literally a month or so before he passed. So that song would always remind me of him.
Nice. The other one was Bedtime, Usher.
Yeah.
And I'd say third equal for me will be Spend My Life With You, Eric Benet and Tamir.
Yeah.
And what was equal with that? I've totally lost one here.
5 Steps.
Oh, that's up there. That'll be on Baker's top 3, bro.
Yeah.
Honestly, played every time we left town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that top 3 will do for me for now. Top 3 90s R&B tracks.
All right. Feels Good by Tony.
Ooh, yeah, good tune.
I don't care what state I'm in. I'll be up and moving to that.
And that's got that vintage kind of 90s sound as well. Eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Waterfalls by TLC.
Oh, yep.
That will never get old.
That'll be late 90s too, eh?
Yeah. And yeah, probably Red Light Special as well from them as well was another good one. And this might be controversial, but Step in the Name of Love by R. Kelly.
Tune's a tune. Tune's a tune. We're not tackling that that today. But it is a thing, eh? Like people, like talk to some people, they're like, how could you? Like, I know it's hard when you love music that much, you can't just not play it ever again. Yeah. Good tunes. I won't get into my top 3 because I can't think of mine, but yeah, vintage tracks, I like that. Brownhill, bro. You mentioned earlier it was 2008, the conception of Brownhill. How did that all come about?
Yeah. A few of the boys have gotten together and sort of sowed that seed. Matt and Nuttall was part of that crew. I got an email from Nuttall one day asking if I was keen to be involved, and at the time we had our church band still.
Yeah, Uso Pacifica. Shout out to the boys.
Pacifica. Oh, bro, good times, man. But yeah, just it was funny, bro. So with Fred, Fall, Kaisa, Fuki was part of that group, obviously, before he passed on.
So,
but that was fun, bro. And then Nuttall got in touch with me, and I was umming and ahhing because I was like, we've got our church band, and we kind of just do our thing. Like we weren't out there to kind of hit the charts or drop an album or anything. We were just there to kind of just do our thing, and everyone chipped in with what song we thought would be worth giving a go, and we did that. And we'd just be playing at church halls and socials and playing at our own church and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nuttall kind of sold this idea that he was keen for to start up a band with, and he mentioned a couple of names and then said, we're keen to start as a covers band and maybe do some corporate gigs and so forth. So yeah, I thought, I'll be keen to find out a bit more. Went to a few practices. So we were doing both bands were going, our church band and the new band that we were creating. Gore and Lair were pretty much, once they came on board, it was, mate, there's no looking back. Yeah. And it was awesome for so many reasons. One was obviously to be able to catch up with those guys again because, obviously we knew them, here back in Wally when, they were going through college and that. Then they headed up to Auckland and studied up there and did the music thing up there. So when they were back home, it was an opportunity to link up again with them and reconnect, but also give this music thing a go. Yeah. So with the church band, I just said to the boys, I won't be able to do both. If I'll try and help out when I can, but they were doing the thing, which is cool. But yeah, we were just all in with Brownhill. Got a really good crew together. A couple of members sort of came and went when we were there initially. But yeah, no, once we realised after doing a few weddings and we did a few gigs here and there as a covers band, Gore started obviously introducing some of his stuff that he was writing, which was good to get some originals on board. We launched in the end of 2008, and then it was all go. And then 2013 was a big year for us because that was when we dropped our first album, First Love.
Yep.
But also we started touring a bit more because that was really the ticket. Once you'd done that, we did that Aussie tour. We're in Samoa at the end of that year. And we're up and down the country doing gigs with some pretty amazing groups along the way as well.
Yeah, played One Love. Not One Love, Ragamuffin.
Ragamuffin in 13, yeah.
Yeah, got to meet like the maddest island or reggae artists. The Godfather himself, even Fiji. He featured on a single there. Bro, everyone said back in those days, bro, there's no party like a Brownhill party, man. Like all the gigs in town. Oh man, I was always wasted at all of them, bro. And they were so good. Well, absolute pests too. And all you guys.
Don't get me started, bro.
Bro, I just remember at a few. Like there's always seemed to be like pillars or something, and I'd like creep up behind the pillar, and you'd just be up on the stage, and I'd just be like,
yeah,
and you'd be like, that's idiot.
I remember there was one at the Garden Club, which was at one opposite Pigeon Park.
Yeah.
I remember we were doing a show there. I can't remember who was with, but we were, like you're saying, I just remember Gore was obviously in the middle there, and then me, I was on the end, and Nuts was behind me, and I just remember you right there, like you were literally there. I think you, Biondi, Jesse, and maybe Ted, some of the low hut crew were there as well. It was funny, man. It was, it was funny, that catchphrase, no party like a Brownhill party. I don't know where that came from. I don't know whether Nuts might have devised that and put it onto a, like a poster, or maybe when we were, kind of advertising a gig, that was kind of the catchphrase that stuck. And we were lucky, man. The Brownhill days that we were together, bro, and man, I love what the guys are continuing to do now. And obviously, it was a shame when, we, I guess, decided to have a break as Brownhill, and the vocalist kind of went off and had a wee bit of a break to do the family thing. The band stayed together. So as Brownhill, obviously, we haven't been together since about 2014, I think.
Yeah.
But the guys are off, as a session band, doing mad things with, other artists, and it's awesome to see them still carrying the band and the brand. But we were all together for that sort of stretch of 5-6 years. A lot of fun, man. It was, nothing like it.
And I hear in the grapevine that Gore might be in some sort of a comeback at some point, maybe doing, I don't know, right? He might be riding again. That'd be mad to see, eh?
I don't think he's ever stopped riding.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's that guy, man. He's unreal, man. So I don't think he would have ever stopped. He would have always been having something simmering away. But like you say, I guess we've been able to catch up with a few of the boys here and there, and there's always been word that potentially he was keen to relight the flame. But look, if Brownhill were able to get back together again, mate, that'd be awesome. But we'll watch the space.
Bro, I'm trying to get him to. I keep sending him these country songs. Like, bro, look, you would sound mad in this song, bro. Like, you should cover it. Just no love yet. So, I do think that there is a good relationship between reggae and country. Like, it just goes together, especially the harmonies and kind of the lyrics and things like that.
Yeah, well, there's a few songs that came out a few years ago. A few artists kind of, got together and basically, I guess fused the two genres together, and some of those worked, man.
That's right, that album, that country reggae album, mate.
Yeah. Well, the Chair.
Yeah.
There was even a Hotel California. There was a reggae version of that. I've forgotten who came up with that, but even Justin Bieber's song "Sorry." I think one of the Hawaiian bands maybe did a rendition of that as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of that reggae / island reggae / roots reggae, sometimes putting a spin on mainstream tracks, some of them work, man. So
yeah, I can't remember. I'm not sure if it was Itana. Might have been one of the other female vocalists who covered Patsy Cline's "Crazy." That was a banger. I'm not sure if you've heard that one, but it was a real good cover. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah, some of them work, man. So, yeah.
What's a song that you'd want to cover? Any song that you'd want to cover in reggae form?
But it's funny you mention that. When Brownhill had a gig up in the Bay one year, probably maybe 2012, maybe, and so I was the driver. So obviously we do the gig. I think this was like an overnight.
Bro, that must have been so good for those guys. Just they knew wherever they were going, there was at least a driver.
I mean, yeah. Again, it was one of those things where, in a way you could look at it as drawing the short straw, or in a way you could look at it as being the responsible one.
Yeah.
I guess, it was just something, and I was happy to do it. I was, but it was one of those gigs where we drove up one afternoon. I think we all sort of managed to get off work a wee bit earlier. So we drove up one over to the Bay, did the gig that night, and then the boys were on it the whole night and into the morning. And I remember that, they didn't even stop. Like, we literally, the only reason they stopped drinking was because we had to hit the road to come back on a Sunday. And so we left our accommodation at maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, threw the boys in the back of the van, and me and Gore up front. And we drove back, and And it's funny because Gore goes to me, bro, we've got to do a cover. And I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be mean. What do you reckon? And we kind of threw a few songs back and forth to each other. And so that's how the birth of Talk It Over came out, Grace and Hugh.
That's right, yeah.
So that's where that came about. So we decided to go with that. But another song that that was, I remember part of that conversation was You Got a Friend, James Taylor.
Yep. Someone else. Yeah,
that one.
That's a good tune, eh?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Still an option, Gore, if you're listening.
But another one, a random one that I would like to try would be, and I don't know who sings it, but it's that song, Two Less Lonely People in the World.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
You know that song, eh?
Yeah.
It's a ballad from the 80s or something, or 70s. But it's one song that every time I listen to it, I was thinking, bro, that'll be mean if I had, I was like, man, I want to flick this out to nuts when we get into...
Yeah, I do know that song. Yeah, very much an 80s kind of vintage ballad, yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, you know what's frustrating is before these covers started coming out, I listened to so much old school music, and like people think I've got the weirdest playlist and things like that. But I was listening to Linda Ronstadt, Blue Bayou, and I'm like, man, someone's got to cover this like ASAP. I said it for years, man. And then Swiss dropped it, and I was like, yo, that's a pretty good cover. Guess no one else done it, but mad cover. And then the other one was Hopelessly Devoted to You from Greece. I was like, yo, someone's got to drop this song, bro. It's an absolute banger. And then this guy called, I think a Tongan dude named Fiverr dropped it. So there's a version out there, not big, but, it's out there. Like just heaps of those old school songs that could be covered and would blow up straight away.
Yeah. No, you're right, bro. Hard out.
Bro, we're about to go on the record with the last 6 questions that every guest who comes on off the record will get. Before we do, just to finish off on Petone Rugby, shout out to Petone Rugby and the crew down there. Saddle Chat on Spotify, guys, if you're listening. Search Petone Pod or Saddle Chat. But everything's going well down there at the moment. Kind of clubs listening. Like, I know I'm not talking from the outside looking in because I'm very much in, but for people listening, bro, like it's all happening down there at the moment, eh?
Bro, yeah, just this is, I guess, part of we're starting to really see fruits of a lot of our labour over the last few years in terms of things like culture, standards, and just unifying the group, the club, and from the top right through to the players and so forth and that. But yeah, I mean, bro, you're very much like me, man. It's just it's part of our fabric, like I said, I bleed blue, man. It's and for me, it's funny because we talk about so and so's gone to this club, and why did he leave our club, go to this club, and he's come into town, he's gone to that club and stuff. But I think sometimes I think we almost waste energy doing that and forget, man, we're blessed, man. We're really fortunate with what we have down at the club. We've got some great people doing some great things, and we need to celebrate that. And we need to understand as well that in terms of clubs are basically we're just surviving on the revenue that we can make ourselves. So what we're doing, with the saddle chat and stuff like that is us. We're just keeping our members engaged, and and Hack is forever selling his menu and his work in the kitchen and stuff. And you get people down there, and all of a sudden, after 30, 40 burgers and 30 punnets of chips and us drinking the bar dry, it's it's helping the club, getting revenue, getting funds in order to be able to to upgrade our club room and upgrade our green room and do stuff out in the field, and get the facilities that players need to get better, upskill. And bro, it's I love it, eh? And I guess if there's a message that that I would want to get out there is love your club, man. Get down to your club, support your club, do all you can for your club. It's I'm very blessed to do what I do as a career in terms of being with New Zealand Rugby and, you know, be able to do what I do with some of our high performance teams, some of our national teams, and you know, and kind of exposed to a lot of, you know, things that, you know, that I wouldn't normally be able to do. And so for me, I love to be able to bring those experiences back to the club and do what I can to, you know, to help and make it easier for, you know, other guys and girls down there in terms of our playing group and, you know, but anyone really. So yeah, you know, get out there, do what you can for your club, get behind club footy and stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, just quickly, bro. Just I know there's maybe a semi-serious question, but I wanted to cover off just like Pacific people in rugby or in club rugby and stuff, because I didn't really notice it until the last few years. Like, I know it's not a thing or an issue at our club. We've got Pacific people coming through our club all the time. We've got a good number there right now. But I think people don't realise that we've actually got a good, not heaps, but there's actually Pacific Islanders there, like up and down the club, management, coaches, players. And one example I use that I always think of is I went to that Samoan food shop in Taira, and I walked in, and the shop owners, their kid must have played Petone Juniors because he still had his rugby top on, and I had my Petone polo on. And she's like, "Oh, do you play for Petone?" I go, "Oh, no, I coach for Petone." And she's like, "Oh, are there someone coaches there?" I was like, "Yeah, there's a couple of us, you know, a couple of managers, and you know, there's heaps of us there." She's like, "Oh, I didn't know that," because you know they probably just see the kids that are at their juniors, and I've heard that a few times there, but like people don't realise that Petone's got like there's a few of us there, you know. Like I know how, like you look at Huddle Boys or Avalon, and they're predominantly Pacific and Māori. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is send down your Islanders down to Petone Rugby. But like, how do you feel? Like we've always been represented at some level and on different levels in the club, whether it be Samoan or Māori. It might just be there's more of us now. You reckon?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we look back 10, 15, 20 years, 20 years, you know, 20 years ago when we were playing as a junior, you know, there weren't very many brown faces in terms of, you know, areas around management and coaching and even around the club and that, you know. But to be honest, it's you know, it's probably right across the game in the country. I mean, in terms of, you know, where I'm obviously working at the moment, you know, in terms of the playing stock that are coming through, male and female, very brown, you know, and will just continue to grow. And so it's really, you know, getting more of our people into the areas around coaching and management, governance, administration.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's it. Yeah, good point.
And so that's really important because, you know, for me, while I understand that, you know, the work that I do around NZ schools and NZ 20s and camp and that, while I understand that in terms of my JD, I've got roles that I need to be doing and boxes I need to tick pre-camp and during the camp. You know, when it's all kind of, it's just me kind of just being part of the crew, it's amazing the amount of faith and comfort and trust that I get from players, you know, of Pacific Island descent.
Yeah. They
can feel comfortable asking me a question that they might not necessarily feel comfortable asking one of the coaches or the team manager. It's not that we're, you know, it's not that we're kind of in terms of a disrespect, but it's more opening that door for them to feel more comfortable to be themselves, you know. Yep. And so that's how I feel that I have a role, you know, in and around some of my work in that. But yeah, like I was saying, it's getting a lot better now, bro. We're getting some really good Pacific Island people, and you know, we've got Farah Palmer, who's on the on the New Zealand Rugby board. He's a former Blackfern captain, former player, administrator, but she's doing amazing things. So Michael Jones is on the board as well. Eroni Clark is in a new role, Pacific Engagement. Kevin Mialamu's an ambassador. Kevin Sunil is on the NZRPA. We're starting to see a lot of our people in those governance roles that I was speaking of, which will just continue to benefit our players coming through, but really move from that kind of peripheral to really make sure that everyone's engaged, and it's only going to be for the better.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there before, where like you said that someone might come and ask you something and not ask someone else because they feel comfortable coming to you. Like, I think some people like that, where they just like seeing someone like that in those positions that they can then like go to or talk to and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I guess like from a higher up in the system, those names that you mentioned, I guess it's cool for like people like me to see, oh yeah, there's even people further up and stuff like that we can look up to, and we are filling those roles. And I guess this part of the convo is not to discuss anything kind of like along those racial terms. It's just like, it's because I know it's a thing. Like, we've got Samoan parents out there that will be unsure on things, but when they see people like us, doing our thing, or on a Premier game day, they might come down and see you sitting on the sideline. They're like, oh, look, they've got one of them is managing the team and things like that. So no, that's definitely pretty cool, bro. Appreciate you sharing that as well.
No worries.
Just to finish up, bro, you might have seen it if you'd watched the other pods. On the record with Ezra. First question, easy. Actually, we might have discussed this last night. But what movie could you watch over and over and not get sick of? Bit different, but.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So not necessarily my favourite movie, but something I could watch.
Just over, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say Grease.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Grease, bro. Yeah.
And it's an easy watch too.
Yeah, hard out. Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while too.
Yeah.
But I guess like mine, like I could, like if I turned on the TV and Little Bumble was on, I'd sit there and watch it. Definitely, yeah.
Nice.
Bit of a weird question. If you were a ghost, how would you haunt?
Gee, that's a good one.
Had a couple of dark answers in the past there. Like,
have you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know whether anyone else has answered about being invisible, but that would probably be me, really. And yeah, and then you could just sort of kind of sneak up on people that you feel that they're not doing the right thing, and just give them a keep your reminder that they're being watched. Yeah, they're being watched. Yeah,
that's a good one, actually. What are you doing? Stop. Best concert you've ever been to?
Oh, I'm going to say, oh man, I'm going to say George Benson. Yeah, I'm going to say George Benson. Was lucky enough to meet him as well when I was at the Intercontinental, and got tickets from him for the show. Went along that night and had a blast. At the time, he was 67, I think, and I forgot how many songs or how much of his repertoire was actually him singing, because I knew that he played the game as well. But he had about 4 or 5 different guitars, and then he basically, the first half of the show, he was playing and singing, or just playing, and then the second half he came out and literally just sang. And he could blow, man. The show would have been a good hour 40, and he did not relent, bro.
That's good for someone his age too.
For someone his age, yeah, man. So, that was impressive, man. So that was definitely probably one of my favorites.
Is he still around?
I'm pretty sure he is, bro. Yeah, I'm sure we would have heard if he wasn't, but yeah, probably obviously not quite as active, but I'm pretty sure he's still around. Legend though.
What's something you're interested in that most people wouldn't expect? Great questions here at Off the Record with Fridge.
Yeah, ask tough questions, eh? interested in? Oh, baking.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. There's a few. I'm not really much of a. I mean, I cook. I can get by, but baking is. And the only reason is when we were growing up, mum and dad both cooked. They both cooked, and they just cooked, and we grew up and we'd help out. But quite often they were just happy to do that, and we cleaned. And then Perry cooks and D-Man cooks, and but yeah, probably before D was born, Perry and I we just took up baking. It was so mum and dad would cook, we'd bake, and it would just become a competition, and I would always win, and Perry gave it up, and then I just So when I was growing up, my go-to was fruitcake.
Oh yeah.
But in any cake, because you just
That's unusual though, fruitcake.
It is.
It's not top of the list of like favorite cakes.
No, it isn't. But everyone used to love the fruitcake because it wasn't one of the common ones. So when we'd have a Iupeli, when family or other ministers and stuff would come around, or even at church, mum would be like, "Ez, can you make a cake for the women's? They've got something on." I'd make a fruitcake because everyone else would turn up with a banana cake or a chocolate cake.
True.
And I was like, okay, well, that's my thing, fruitcake, and people loved it. So I just kept making it. But then I thought, well, I need to change it up. So and it's easy, in terms of baking a cake, it's your set kind of 7-8 ingredients.
Yeah. And
obviously you just replace the filling. So it's either the fruit cake, the fruit mix comes out, the bananas go in, the pineapples go in, the lemons go in.
Oh yeah, I like a lemon cake. I bet a fruit cake would be nice, kind of fresh out with maybe a bit of custard or like cream and stuff, like still warm. It has to be still warm.
Yeah. You don't need the custard with the fruitcake. The fruitcake is
good on its own.
But knowing you I know you love your sauce and stuff. So,
or what's that butterscotch sauce that people put with was it butter? What is it?
Butterscotch?
Yeah.
Where are you going with this?
I don't know. There's that sticky date pudding with the butterscotch sauce.
With toffee, butterscotch with toffee sauce. Yeah.
But the best. It has to be one of the best desserts out there. I haven't had it in ages.
I'll tell you what. I'll give her a shout out, Jolita, a fool's wife. Yeah, her.
I think that's the last one I had. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's years ago.
Yeah, unreal.
So if anyone's listening, we're taking on the sticky date puddings. Just drop us a DM off the record or fridge. I'll gladly take your donations. If your life was a book, what would the title be?
Black and white.
Oh, and what's the meaning behind black and white? Is that just a bit of everything kind of buzz?
A bit of everything.
Or balance.
And that ability to be able to kind of off the cuff and kind of move between two, but at the same time, there's no grey area. Like it's black and white.
I like that. There's no grey area, bro.
What you see is what you see. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm straight up and down, and yeah. So and I don't change. Bro,
I'm gonna use that at some point. That's the best answer we've had so far.
Can I copyright that or what do you call it?
Too late. It's going up on status. Black and white. There's no grey area. Last question, man, is who do you feel like you know, even though you have never met them?
Alicia Keys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, have you seen her Unplugged MTV? I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Right.
It's the best, though.
It is unreal, man. And her BVs are...
those three, two girls and a guy?
Off the record, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, the guy, yeah. Check out when she does Sleep with a Broken Heart. Why is that song title? Yeah, check it out. Check out that song, that version that she does when she's on the grand and her BVs and bro, mate.
I want to check it out again. I used to work the door at East Ebb and Petone. You guys have played there before, eh?
Yeah. Pumba's.
That as well. Yep, that as well. We used to work there, and bro, the staff there was so mean. Like, would close up around maybe 2ish in the morning, and then just start having a few drinks. And we always had the Alicia Keys DVD there, so we'd pop it up on the big screen, move the couches around, and we'd just watch it front to back. drunk as, bro, and with the big sounds in there, sounded mint, eh? So good. Those BVs. That's just about us, Just wanted to say a quick thanks for coming on to the pod, giving up your time. And it's 2 late nights in a row. But yeah, bro, I appreciate everything that you do and continue to do for us, especially for me, bro. I was really looking forward to getting you on this pod, and it was definitely a fun chat. I know we catch up all the time, so it's going to be weird just finishing it and then just continuing to talk throughout the week. But I hope you've enjoyed it as well. I know we're still kind of growing and things, and we'll be getting more guests on and things like that. And I forgot to say earlier, disgusted you wore that Panthers jersey onto the pod.
Mate, everyone get a look at it. Get a good look at it. This team is now paving the way in the NRL, the halfway point. So get used to seeing this Panthers logo, because 2020 premiers.
Mate, they'll be first into the playoffs and then first to exit.
Bro, Nathan Cleary is just going to put on a masterclass for the rest of this year, and then basically put another masterclass in November with the Blues that go 3-0 against the Maroons.
Yeah, I agree with that one. You know what's funny is I'm not sure how many games are left, but I know the Warriors, they're not going to make it, but they're only like 4 or 6 points away from the top 8. Like, that's how stupid this comp is at the moment. Yeah. They just need to win 3 games and then they're kind of back in the mix.
Yeah, it's funny like that, eh? Yeah. I mean, the good thing with the Warriors, bro, is they've been winning, like every so often. Like, they pick up a cheeky win here and there, and so they'll stay there or thereabouts, yeah. But big ask for them this week with the Roosters.
Oh, it just doesn't get any better. Like, and these players that are wanting to leave to come back to New Zealand, which is fair enough, but bring on 2021.
Oh, tell me about it, bro.
All right, team, that's us. That's episode 5 Off the Record with Fridge with my awesome guest, Ezra Iupeli. Yo, Sepe, hit that music, brother. Yo.